Um, Today, we are having a Bible study on the life of Orpah. Orpah, not Oprah. It's just not about Oprah now. It's about Orpah. 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 And this is a very interesting story. It's Women's Month, so we're focusing on women in our study this month. And you can find this story in the book of Ruth, chapter 1, verse 1 through 14. And this is a story about Orpah. Orpah. I'm on to start reading. Matter of fact, let's pray first. God, thank you for what you did yesterday, for what you're going to do today, for what you're going to do tomorrow, for what you're going to do this week and next week as we prepare to go into a new season. You allowed us Sunday to spring forward. Now give us principles that are practical for prosperity, for our lives, and for our posterity. In the name of Jesus, amen. And now it came to pass in the days when the judges ruled that there was a famine in the land, and a certain man of Bethlehem, Judah, went to sojourn in the country of Moab, him and his wife and his two sons. And the name of that man was Elimelech, and the name of his wife was Naomi, and the name of his two sons was Mahlon and Chilion. The Ephraimites of Bethlehem, Judah, and they came into the country of Moab and continued there. And Elimelech and Naomi's husband died, and she was left and her two sons. And they took them wives of the Moabite woman, and the name of one was Orpah, and the other name was Ruth. And they dwelled there about 10 years. And Mahlon and Chilion died, also both of them, and the woman was left of her two sons and husband. And she arose with her daughters in the law that she might return to the country from the country of Moab, for she had heard in the country of Moab how the Lord had visited his people and given them bread. Wherefore she went forth out of the place where she was, and her two daughters-in-law with her, and they went on their way to return unto the land of Judah. Let's stop there for a moment. That's verse 7. We still got a little more to read, but let's look at what's going on here. Can we get the next slide, please? Next slide. Now, this story is set in the northeastern African country of Jordan, modern day Jordan, which is called Moab. Moab is in the southern part of Jordan, that's closer to when you go into Israel. And Moab is set in a place that's right next to the Dead Sea. If you ever been to Israel, the Dead Sea is literally nothing in it but salt. You might got some salt fish, possibly, but it's nothing really in the Dead Sea. And you can't swim in it. That's another thing about the Dead Sea. And so the in Moab, so when we examine the text, we see they were in Israel and they moved to Moab because it was a famine in the land. So the reason why this famine was going on was because of God's wrath on the nation of Israel for some things they had done. Now, this is the book of Ruth. The book of Ruth comes after the book of Judges, and Judges paints this bleak, dark, depressing picture of Israel. And so to get this story in Ruth is a little bit of a refresher, because it kind of gives us something to hope for and to look forward to. And so Moab was a descendant of Lot. You remember Lot? Lot was Abraham's nephew. And Lot was taken advantage of by his two daughters. They got him drunk and they laid with him. And this is how you get the Moabites. So it's a very dark history. It's a very bleak history of this group of people and where they come from. And so Orpah winds up marrying Chilion. She married Chilion. That's one brother. Ruth marries Mahlon. But the word Chilion in Hebrew, it means the wasting away or sickness. Here's my first question for you. What do you do when you marry to someone whose very name means sickness? Sickness. Orpah means neck or Giselle.
He's gone too?
And she was an outsider. But she married into this promise because she married into the Israelite kingdom, into the bloodline with Chilion. For the Bible readers, you'll find out if you keep reading the story that Ruth winds up being the grandmother of David, which is the ancestor of Jesus, and Orpah winds up being the grandmother of Goliath. It's not surprising that when you read Holy Writ and you read sacred texts, this is a family problem. It's a family. It goes all the way back to Genesis, that this is a family issue that we're dealing with. Next slide. So she's married to Chilion for 10 years. She's married to the sickness for 10 years, and then he dies. Not only did he die, his brother died. So now you got Naomi, which is the mother or the widow. Her husband dies. And then 10 years later, both of the kids die. In that time, your economy was tied to the man being in the house, being able to provide and pay the debts. Otherwise, they had to be sold into slavery, and there was no means of income for a woman at this time. It is impossible, I think, to be in such close proximity to sickness and not catch it. But then you say, wait a minute, hold on, Doc. How could that be possible? Because we have caregivers who deal with sick people all the time and they don't get sick. But I want to submit this to you, that when the pandemic happened, we were instructed to do what? Put on a mask and keep our distance. We were also instructed to do what? To wash our hands. And what Orpah teaches us is that when you are close to someone that has sickness or disease, that has issues, that have a problem, you have to be careful to keep yourself clean so you don't get sick. Okay? I'm not going to hear nobody talk right there. When you close to somebody that got an issue, they got a gambling problem, they got a stealing problem, they got a lying problem, they got a cheating problem, they got an issue with their mouth, they got an issue with their hands, they got an issue with their body, they're lascivious, they're without restraint or control, so they're sick. Keep your distance, wash your hands, and make sure you're clean. Oprah also teaches us that you can work on something for years and it still come to an end. 10 years she gave to this man. With Mary J., she said, 11 years I sacrificed, and you could leave me at the drop of a dime. And so it's important for us to understand, what do you do when the future dies? I'm the only one that's been through. You wanted to be a basketball player and you got injured and it didn't work out for you, huh? You were supposed to go serve in the military. You had a medical issue. It didn't work out for you. Come on, huh? You were in a jet pilot training program and you didn't pass a test and you washed out. It didn't work out for you. What do you do when the future dies? This is the dilemma that Orpah had in this story, because her future was tied to the promise in Chilion. To come from such a dark history of Moab, for your ancestor to be a product of incest, and that to be your lineage, and you finally meet somebody who is able to raise you up out of that and give you a different existence and a different life. And it dies. It didn't just die. It was waning for years. You was nursing him back to health and he got better and you thought things would get better. And you went up to the hospital and you held their hand and they thought it was time and you called the family in and they got better. And they said that the person didn't have but several years to live and it got better. But what happens when it's all over? When they finally pass away? And that's what happened. That's what happened in Orpah's life. I want to give you a quick poem. I want you to add it to your memory bank. The poem says, if you can keep your head about you when all are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all people doubt you, but make allowances for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two imposters the same, if you can bear to hear the truths you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make traps for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken and stoop and build them up with worn out tools. I tell you, that poem encapsulates the life of Orpah. Just when she got to the place where things were working for her, just when she got to a place for 10 years where her life was somewhat figured out, it ends. And so we pick back up the text in verse 7. Verse 7 says what it says, and wherefore she went out from the place where she was. This is Ruth chapter 1, verse 7. And her two daughters-in-law with her, and they went on the way to return to the land of Judah. And Naomi said to her two daughters-in-law, go return each to his mother's house. The Lord deal kindly with you as you have dealt with the dead and with me. The Lord grant you that ye may find rest, each of you, in the house of your husband. Then she kissed them and they lifted up their voice and wept. And they said unto her, surely we will return with thee unto thy people. And Naomi said, turn again, my daughters. Why you going with me? She said, come on, I'm gonna have to bring this in the vernacular of today. I'm not having no more kids. That's what she basically said. I'm not having no more kids. And even if I do find a husband and have me some children, what y'all gonna wait till they grown? That's what she said. Turn again, go your way. Verse 12. For I am too old to have a husband. If I should say I have hope, if I should have a husband also tonight, even if I get somebody right now and get pregnant and bear some sons, y'all gonna wait? No, you're not gonna wait. Verse 13 says, would you tarry for them until they were grown? Would you stay for them from having husbands? Nay, my daughters, for it grieveth me much for your sakes that the hand of the Lord is gone out against me. And they lifted up their voice and wept again. And Orpah kissed her mother-in-law, and Ruth clave unto her. And she said, behold, your sister-in-law is gone back unto her people and unto her gods. return after your sister-in-law. Now, it's interesting. On the next slide, Orpah is going back to Moab. Naomi and Ruth stay in Judah. Orpah's going back to Moab. Naomi and Ruth is in Judah. The thing I like about the story that I want y'all to walk away with is, next point, you have to know when it's time to leave. Okay. You done met these folk.
That's good.
You done met these people. You done got married to this woman's son. Her husband died. Then 10 years later, your husband died. Now y'all going back to Judah. What y'all gonna do the same thing over again? Can I give you your next point? Some people can only take you as far as they have gone. When Elijah was being fed by the ravens down at the brook, it was fine for as long as the ravens were feeding him and the brook was flowing with water. But what happened when the brook dried up? He had to go to the widow at Zarephath. Why? Because you get to places in your life where seasons end. Okay, y'all need to write that down. You get to places in your life where seasons end. And when the season is ending, we are now in winter, and in a week it will be spring. The season is ending. So what do you see outside? You see the cherry blossoms are beginning to bud on the trees now. You see things starting to turn from brown and orange and yellow and red to green now. Why? Because seasons end. Some people can take you only as far as they can take you. Dr. Hill, when I was a younger man, I was 12 years old. I'm in junior high school, and I had a big crush on this girl. And, she broke my heart. And my cousin, we was back then in D.C., you rode the metro to school, and you had your tokens. And I was sad, and my cousin told me, he said, Ray, he said, if we miss the 8:30 bus, what's going to happen? I said, we missed the 8:30 bus. We still got a chance because the 8:45 bus coming. And then we get to the 8:45 bus. He said, if we miss this bus, what's going to happen? I said, we got to wait on the 9 o'clock bus, but we're going to be late to school. He said, but if we miss that bus, what's going to happen? I said, well, then we got to wait on the 9:30 bus. He said, if we take that bus and we go to the subway station, we get to Tacoma Station on the red line, and we get on the train, say, that train going to take us where? I said, we go one way and take us Silver Spring. We go another way and take us to Shady Grove. He said, a woman is like these buses. If you stand here long enough, another one will come by. So don't be so heartbroken over this one person who left and you still young. You're going to meet a bunch of people before you get to the right person. And I don't know who need to hear that, because you on this line and you waiting on the husband, or you on this line and you waiting on the wife, and you with this person and you know it ain't working out. God says it's time for the season to end. You got to know how to do like Orpah. And I'm transferring that anointing onto you today, that you will be able to walk away from the things that no longer serve you. It was cool while it lasted. It was good while you was here. I appreciate all you did for me, but I'm done. I'm good on you. And Oprah walked away. Here's number 5 point. You need to write it down. People are doors. People are doors. Is it possible that Orpah got to the point where she said everything connected to this family dies? Have you ever been connected to somebody and it seemed like every time you deal with that person, something go left? Huh? We had a guy in high school. I kid you not. Every time we hung out with this guy, the police showed up for some reason. And I told my friend, I said, man, Bryce, I think it's something on this dude where every time he come with us, it's a problem with the police. We go out, we have a good time. It was never a problem. Every time we invited him, always was an issue. Some people you gotta cut off,
Right.
because those people bring a certain energy into your atmosphere. And maybe Orpah decided she would take Naomi's advice and roll on before she got stole on. I mean, can I get a witness with that? Where you'd have been hurt so bad, and you'd have been tricked so much, and you'd have been lied to, and you'd have been cheated on, and you'd have been mistreated, you've been misused, abused, you'd have been discarded and thrown away. And enough is enough. The season is changing and you're walking away. It's time to go back home. But all of this mess was a family tie. You worried about a soul tie. This was a family tie. The father had an issue. The brother had an issue. The other brother had an issue. Naomi had an issue. She changed her name and said, "Don't call me Naomi, call me Mara."
That's right.
Further in the story, you got to read the whole book. She changed her, the sickness and the disease of depression and low self-esteem. I believe it was Dr. Hill, I believe it was Benjamin Elijah May said, the real sin is not in setting a goal and not reaching it. The real sin is low aim. Some of y'all missing it because you ain't trying hard enough.
Right.
Do you hear me? You're not trying hard enough. You hating on somebody for doing better than you, but you won't do the work. Come on, this is practical. This is too serious for preaching. This is practical teaching that you're receiving today. It was a family tie. The Moabites are cousins to the Israelites. That's his nephew and them.
Nephew and them.
That's who it is. And so he says, oh man, Doc, if you could send Bishop Barnett the link, he don't have it. So she went and she started over at home. I presume that Orpah was young enough to find her another man. But Naomi said, it's your choice if you want to stay or go, but I advise you to go. Ruth wound up staying. And there ain't nothing wrong with Ruth staying, but here's the thing we got to stop doing. Let's stop demonizing Orpah because it was her choice to leave. Sometimes, this is an extra one because he only said 5 points. Sometimes choosing you means not choosing them. Did you hear me?
That's a good point.
Sometimes choosing you means not choosing them. It's not about them. It's about how happy you want to be. It's about how you want to live your life. And look, the Bible threw Orpah some shade. She going back to, that wasn't the Bible, that was Naomi. She threw Orpah some shade. She going back to her people and her gods.
Mm-hmm.
Really? That's how you want to do this, ma'am? I done sat around with you for 10 years. I'd have been a husband to your wife. I done cooked clean. I done gave him good sex. I done did everything a wife's supposed to do. And that's what you got to say about me? That's why I'm going in my own way. See, sometimes, even though Naomi was anointed, she was still bitter. Your sister-in-law going back to her people and her gods. I imagine she said that with a little attitude.
Right.
Because why mention that? Why was that important to mention? Why did the text give us that? And so whenever you're reading the text, you got to ask questions to the text. Why am I reading this? What's taking place at this time? What is happening in this time frame? This time frame is right around 1400 to 1300 BC. Okay, and so this is right after Joshua died. This a little longer after Moses done passed on, and we get through Judges, Deborah, and all them folk, and we get down to Ruth. That's the part of the story we in. We haven't got to David yet because he ain't born. So this is a part of the story we're in. This is where we are. So we know where we at. We in Jordan by the Dead Sea that don't have nothing living in it. That's why it's called the Dead Sea. And we have a woman who was married to a man whose name means sickness, and he dies after 10 years of marriage. You know, they say sometimes the second marriages don't work out. And the text doesn't lend us to let us know if Orpah's marriage actually wound up working out. But I believe she did what was best for her. Maybe that's your 7th point. You got to learn how to do you. Don't worry about what Ruth doing. Huh?
Right.
Don't worry about what Naomi doing. That's not your concern no more. Your husband dead. So sometimes you got to let folk who got a certain mentality, who have a certain way about them, who want to do things and be a certain place, let them be over there. What my grandmother used to say, feed them with a long handled spoon. You got to know how to separate yourself from people. Because it was cool when we was in high school and we was pumping the block and running the strip and doing all that stuff. But it don't really make much sense now at this age to be doing those same things that we enjoyed at 18. Because there should have been some type of separation in between your maturity and your reality. It should have been something there to make you realize these are not good decisions to make. And so Orpah teaches us that. Orpah teaches us how to separate ourselves from things that no longer serve us. Did y'all write that down? In this spring season, you need to separate from stuff that don't serve you. Let it go.
Right. That's some good points. Very good points.
Let it go. And look, you got to do like Oprah. It's like this t-shirt I got on. The t-shirt say, faith it till you make it. I got the hat to match if y'all want one. It said, faith it till you make it. Why? Because I don't know what the future holds, but I know who holds the future. Huh? I don't know what it's going to be like, but I know if I take one step, God will take two. I don't know what my life is going to be, but I know who holds my life in his hand. So what do? I go the opposite direction. In fact, Dr. Hill, this Bible class, that word to turn around is the Hebrew word teshuvah. It's the same word we use for the word repent. All repent mean is to make a U-turn. And Orpah got to a place where she decided that the life that she had with Naomi and Ruth, she had to turn around on. She was going back home because she couldn't take it no more. How many women have had to deal with a sick husband and sick children, and sick relatives, and nursing you in between, taking care of your parents because they're older and weaker, and taking care of your kids because they're trying to become what they're trying to become, and you'll never get no time for yourself. You got to do the laundry, you got to cook, you got to clean, you got to make sure homework is done. You got to make sure you get to work on time and they get to school on time, and you'll never have no help. I'm talking about Orpah right now. I did all this for 10 years, and then what I was hoping for, what I was working for, what I put my hands to died. You'll leave too. You'll leave too. You might throw some clothes in a car and set it on fire too. You might burn the house down too if you caught them cheating. Are we gonna be real, or we just gonna act like we super safe?
Right. No, be real, Doc. Be real.
Because this woman is teaching us a lesson. We so stuck on teaching about roofing, but you want to get the Boaz so bad. You missed the lesson that Orpah is teaching you. Because Boaz ain't for everybody. And this a piece of me. It's speculated Ruth was not supposed to marry Boaz. But you got to do a little more studying to get into that class to find out why. To find out why. But there's a lot in this book that you could pull apart. And all we did was go through the first 14 verses. I didn't get to the part where, you know, your God to be my God and all. That's cute. I like that part. But Orpah is what we needed to learn today. Doc, you got anything?
No, Doc, I mean, you're making some very good points. I mean, let's take a pause and let's retract a minute and let's play devil's advocate for a minute and let's talk about what you think might have happened had she went with them. What would she have missed out on?
You're asking me specifically?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
I think what would have happened if she would have went with them is she would have lost herself. Sometimes you go on somebody else's trajectory and somebody else's life and somebody else's way takes you off of your path. You got to do what the scripture said, as far as it concerns you, follow peace. You see, so there's a separation between what Naomi needed to do, what Ruth needed to do, and what Orpah needed to do. We need to stop following behind. My grandmother used to say, if they jump off a bridge, you gonna jump too? No.
That's right.
So you got to learn how to go your own way. And let me say something about this. Because Naomi was a woman and she was an elder woman and she was their leader. As leaders in the church, you got to know when it's time to tell your people that they need to move on.
That's correct. Right.
Or you're not going to talk back to me, because at the end of the day, if Orpah wanted to leave, don't hold on to people that want to go. Let them go. Because somebody else is coming. Didn't they meet Boaz? So if she would have tripped off Orpah and letting Orpah stay, Ruth might not have met Boaz. Uh-oh. Because see, it might have been a little competition there. So here's a new nugget. You got to thank God for the doors he closed.
Right.
Y'all weren't ready for that. Not just the ones God opens, but the ones he closes. And here's a secret. God does not open a new door until he closed the door behind you. He doesn't open a new door until God closes the door behind you.
That's correct.
That's important to know. Orpah had to leave. I was into this woman one time, Doc. I did everything. Lord, I mean, I broke my whole entire piggy bank open. I reached under the mattress for the money with this woman, Doc. I'm telling you, I mean, I laid out the red carpet. And I was the whole package at the wrong address. Sometimes you got to know when to walk away. What they say, you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away. You can't count your money while you sit at the table. It'll be plenty of time for counting once the dealing is done.
That's right. That's right.
Things come to an end. When I pledged Persian Rifles, the name of our line was When Things Fall Apart. Things fall apart. And you got to be able to pick up the pieces. Hey, y'all. I'm glad we had this journey. It's been a hard road. We took it together. And I'm going to cry with you. And I'm going to love on you. And I want nothing but the best for you. But I got to go home.
Got to go home. Doc, that's good, man. That's good. And, you hit so many good points tonight. Especially the point that talks about you got to know when to leave. you got to know when your season is up. And as you said, it's very important how you end one season. I teach this all the time before you start another season. And when you were talking, it brought me to an analogy of a woman that's pregnant, right? the baby on the inside knows when it's his season to come forth. You see? And sometimes he'll come early. But the danger is if he comes late and doesn't come when he's supposed to come, it could be dangerous to the baby and the mother if the baby stay in too long.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? That's why, the doctor said, it can't stand much longer. Let me cut it out.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And sometimes that's where we got to be. We got to know when the season is over, because there's a difference between a robber and a surgeon.
Come on.
See, sometimes you can get cut by a thief or get cut by a robber, and that's a different kind of cut. But when a surgeon cuts you, and see, sometimes when you hold on too long, God got to cut you. And sometimes it might not be a jagged cut. It'd be just enough for you to understand, hey, you know what? It's time for me to go. That's just like it reminded me of Abraham and Lot.
That's right.
Abraham had to get to the place that he understood it was time to make the break. Because sometimes you can take but so much, and then you'll get to the point like Abraham said, you know what? Something's wrong. Something's not working out. But do you have the strength? Do you have the strength like Oprah to say, I'm going back. I'm going to part ways. I'm going to leave. But see, sometimes, we can't be worried about what people will say or think. If you're worried about what people say think about you, man, you'll be stuck there. Like you said, you'll be stuck on people for a long time. What do you say about that? Yeah?
I would say that it's interesting that people, I understood there's a difference between truth and honesty. Well, the honest thing is I'm over 40 years old. But the truth is I'm 41. See, that's the difference. I don't necessarily owe you truth, but I do owe you honesty. And there's a difference between the two, because you should give a person what they need to know so they can make the best decision that they need for themselves. If you don't like them, be straight up about it.
Right.
If you ain't feeling them, tell them hey, look, this ain't it for me right here. Okay, you ain't got to be nasty and rude, but give people the choice to whether they want to stay or go in your life. You talk about Abraham and Lot. Abraham gave Lot the choice, and Lot picked the best piece of land, and Abraham took
what he thought was the best piece.
You said what now?
Right. He thought what he thought was the best piece.
Well, he thought he was the best piece, but he had a choice. Naomi gave Ruth, doggone Orpah, a choice. She said, y'all go head back home.
A choice.
And Ruth stayed with Naomi, but I wouldn't have been Ruth, Doc, because Naomi was bitter and she was upset and she was tripping. She had to go back home with her tail between her legs. You know how it is when you move away from home and you supposed to be doing good, and everybody, she done moved to Atlanta now. She done moved to LA. She a big star.
That's right.
And you got to come back to Glen Burnie.
That's right.
Huh? And you got to come back to Pigtown. That's you got to come back and move back in your mama house.
Right.
Your man that left you, man that died,
That's
kids don't want nothing to do with you. Can you imagine? I wouldn't have been Ruth. I don't need to get around that energy and that atmosphere.
Right.
So that's how I would have did it.
That's right.
I'd have left, just like Orpah.
And you know, man, sometimes you got to recognize when you need a change. Because sometimes we get so stuck on where we are. We get stuck on what we got. We get stuck on that. Oh, and now it just says, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, you got to start realizing when things is broke and you something you really need to fix. But sometimes, man, we run into the problem where we say, you know how you say a car, I'm going to drive this car till the wheels fall off? And sometimes that's how we do it in our life with situations, man. We can't keep letting situations ride. It can't keep riding on. It just will not get better. Because there's something I tell people all the time. What you allow will continue.
That's right.
But that as a point too. What you allow will continue. You see, and sometimes, man, that's how we get in trouble. And that's how we find ourselves in situations and problems, because we keep allowing what we don't like. We keep allowing what we don't need. We keep what we are comfortable with. At one point, it might have been comfortable, but now God might have made it uncomfortable for you, so you can see that it's time to do something different.
Yeah.
You got to know when to leave. You got to know when to move on. That's a great point that you brought out. You got to, and she knew. She knew. So the question is, do you know?
Yeah.
And sometimes, you got to make this personal. Ask yourself, do I know?
Do I know?
Have I gotten to the place that I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired?
Mm-hmm.
Am I pissed off to the level of festivity? Have I gotten there yet? Or do I still got to keep beating up against the wall and just keep hitting these dead ends, and ain't nothing jumping off, ain't nothing happening. I'm not being blessed. There's no favor upon my life. Why? Because, I won't leave. And then sometimes God will know that you got to go, but he know that you don't have the strength to do it. And so he'll cause the other person to make the break, right? Now, when they make the break, you're trying to hold on. And we got to realize that sometimes we got to let go of what God is trying to take. Sometimes you got to give up that control. Hold on, God's trying to move it out of your life. He's trying to take it away. You gotta know when to make the break, man.
I mean, it's just like cancer. You either got to cut it out or burn it out. And a lot of times when the feeling starts to go away, when what the Earth, Wind, and Fire say, after the love is gone, what used to be right was wrong.
Right.
How could you keep me on and let me stay around after you knew the love was gone?
You knew love was gone.
Come on. So at the end of the day, we sing that song, Before I Let Go. That's a breakup song. Chaka Khan, I would love you anyway,
absolutely,
even if you cannot stay. I think you are the one for me. This is where you ought to be. I just want to say all this stuff for another woman's man.
That's it.
But it's in the songs, and we singing them and not even listening to the words. At the end of the day, you got to be you. Because
those songs are about people's lives. Those songs are real. They're about people's lives. Those songs come out of experience.
Yes.
It's experience. I mean, these are things that these people have really experienced. And some of these songs tell you, I didn't realize it until it was too late.
It was too late. The woman said she made it easy for the cleanup woman to take her man's love. All right. You can't make it easy. You got to know when it's time to walk away. And that don't just involve relationships. That includes that job that you on. That include that business connection that you have. That include not being paid enough, not having a fair wage. Come on, women. This is Women's Month. Come on. That includes being able to make the decisions you need to make so you can live the life that you want to live. That's what that's about. Why would you be Ruth? I need to preach that. Why would I ever want to be Ruth? I ain't worried about meeting Boaz. I need to make sure I meet Ruth. And Orpah met herself.
That's it.
Look, I done been through enough. I done been through enough hell. I'm through with this. I'm finished with it. What Michael Jackson say, this is it. I'm finished with it. And she said, I'm going to faith it till I make it.
That's it.
And she walked away. And I'm telling y'all, in this season, you need to walk away from that job. You need to go start that business. Because it ain't never going to happen if you don't never turn around, if you don't test you by, if you don't turn around. Like Oprah and go back. When she went back home, everybody got to learn how to do their first works over again. Everybody got to learn how to do that. Even as anointed and as powerful as Naomi was in these two young women's lives, they still had to choose their own way. And she was trying to tell him that. Read this in the text.
She gave him the choice.
She gave him the choice.
That's it.
He told you he want no good. He told you how he treated the last baby mother. You still sitting up there laying up under him.
Laying up under him.
I got to be real because I don't like that super spiritual, super saved stuff. I do that. I'm a Christian for real, but we got to come down and get on your road.
Gotta be real, now. Gotta be real.
Because I used to be and still consider myself to be a member of the lay. So at the end of the day, from the pew to the pulpit, it all applies. I need to know when it's time for me to depart. And you ain't got to leave nasty because Oprah didn't leave nasty. She left with her head held high. And here's something for all you sons in ministry and you daughters in ministry. When you leave right, you leave with a blessing.
Say it again, Doc.
When you leave right, you leave with a blessing. Just because you done did a couple concerts, pastor and put you up there, you can sing, pray, and preach. You're a triple threat. That's fine. That's cute. But then you done took half the members and you want to go start a church of your own? That's not God. That's not how God work. Oprah didn't try to convince Ruth to come with her. Oprah didn't try to take over Naomi's ministry.
Right.
Huh? She correct. Said, well, I'm gonna go ahead on and faith it till I make it. I'm going this way. When you leave right, you leave with a blessing. That was like your 10th nugget.
That's correct. And you know what, Doc? When you don't get the blessing, that should tell you something.
It's a big red flag.
And sometimes you gotta remember, just because you wrote a letter and said you just leaving, that ain't just leaving right. Because sometimes it don't matter how you make your exit. Sometimes you gotta look back at what you done during the time you was there.
It's a big difference.
You could have raised a whole lot of hell while you was there, but then you want to write a letter because that's the quote unquote right way to leave. But what hell did you cause while you was there?
Yeah.
So writing a letter that doesn't make you leave right. You gotta know your timing. You have to know your time. Such a powerful message the overseer brought tonight. It's a powerful teaching he gave you tonight. And I want to make sure y'all go back and get these notes from out of this stream. Get these notes. We had a lot of technical difficulties in the beginning, but we kind of pulled it together, but still got a few technical difficulties. But the enemy didn't want this to get out, but it got out because somebody needed to hear that. Somebody needed to understand that. Everybody, even in, I told you these studies are called things I know that I don't know. Things I know that I don't know. A lot of us know about Ruth, Jalaba, Naomi, but how many times have you really done your study on Oprah? You see what I'm saying? So go back, do your history. This is a lesson for everybody. I want everybody, on time I was, go back, read about the people who sometimes everybody else dismiss. See, they want to dismiss Oprah because she left. She didn't follow the whole story of everybody else. You see what I'm saying? But Oprah has her own story of her own.
She do.
And that's just like you guys. Sometimes when you leave and you don't follow the crowd, everybody want to talk about the crowd, but they don't want to talk about you because you left. But understand that when you leave, God will give you your own story. And whether or not your story is included with their story, it doesn't matter because your story is destined for greatness. It really is, y'all.
That's right.
You really got to understand what you learned tonight. You got to know when it's time. You just got to know. Don't worry about following the crowd. Don't worry about continuing into things that used to work. Mm-hmm. God could stand to many of you time for a change. I'm breaking your own habits. I'm breaking your own rules. I'm breaking what you set up. And God said, I'm going to give you some new directives. But, it's like I say, sometimes, y'all, you have to step out to find out.
Wow. That's good, sir.
Because if you don't step out, you may not never find out. And that's what he says, like on his shirt. You got to faith it. You see? Stepping out means I got to faith it. I got to step out when nobody else won't step out with me. I got to go when it's not the popular thing to do. I've got to faith it. What? Yes, I'm not faking it. I'm faithing it.
That's right.
Walk by faith
Not by
and
sight.
not by sight. You see what I'm saying? The faith is the total fact. Let me tell you my short definition of faith. And I know y'all know the Bible definition. Faith is the subject of things hoped for, the others of things not seen. Y'all know that, right? But my own personal definition of faith is this. Y'all ready? And put this on the notes. Come on, I need my note takers to go to work. My definition of faith says you got to live your life as if God was telling the truth.
Wow.
That's it. That's it. That's it. Live your life as if God was telling the truth. What do you say about that, Overseer? What you think about
I like that. I would like to say that that you should work like it's up to you, and you should pray like it's up to God. You should work like it's up to you, and you should pray like it's up to God. At the end of the day, like God is telling the truth, at the end of the day, the one person you forgot to believe in was yourself.
Right.
When are you going to get to the season where you bet on you? Right. You go to everybody else book signing. You got to go to everybody else campaign. You go to everybody else installation service. Yep. You give, you support, you volunteer, you tithe, you do it. When is it going to be you betting on you? You at their album release party. You at their poetry slam. When is it going to be yours? I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to myself. When is it going to be yours? Because why? You have to. You want to faith until you make it. You got to believe in yourself. How can you believe in a God but don't believe in the God that's in you?
In you. That's it. It's time to believe in yourself, y'all, and it's time to know when to make the change. Really, when you start believing in yourself, you'll really know when it's time to make that change. You'll know when it's time to leave. Listen, such a great study tonight. I really want to thank Overseer Rashad for coming over for us tonight. I want y'all to make sure y'all go back. I need y'all to take this link, and even those that are watching it by YouTube, like, share, subscribe that, but go back, send this link to somebody. They need to hear what he said. They need to hear it. Take this video, post it, send it out, share it with your friends, share it with everybody you know, especially about who you've been sitting around and not doing. You know, sometimes you know when you're not doing what God called you to do. It's time for you to get on track. It's time for you to start doing what God told you to do. Like Overseer Rashad Church say, it's time for you to start faithing it, y'all. Get up, start faithing it. Don't worry about who won't go with you. Don't worry about who ain't supporting you. Support yourself. Yep. Believe in yourself. Yep. You see, do this for you. Do this for you, not your children, not your husband, not nobody. Do this for you. All right, we thank y'all tonight. We pretty much right on time, went over just a little bit, but I want to thank everybody for watching tonight. Come on, y'all, throw some heart. I need y'all to throw some hearts and likes up there for Overseer Rashad. Come on, hit that button. Send some hearts and some likes up.
Doc,
come on, everybody, send something up. Let them know that you enjoy it.
If you want this T-shirt, I'm going to be posting it later with a link where you can order them. It's faithful to you make. I have a couple of slogans. I got the hat to go with it, and you can get that. I really want y'all to join this Faith It movement. I know we faking it a lot of times. I want us to start faithing it while we go forward. So I'll be posting that. Y'all will see it. I'll get you the information.
That's good. Post a link here. I'll make sure he posts a link on my page, on the church page, on the video page, on the YouTube page. Come on, y'all. Let's get them shirts. Let's join this Faith It movement. I'm going to get me a t-shirt and a hat, and I'm going to wear it. Yeah. Amen. Let's do that. Let's support what he's doing. Where are my hearts and lights? Come on, y'all. Hit those buttons. Send something. Hit it. So I know that you really enjoy. And let's Overseer Rashad coming on. Listen, we're gonna end this out. We're gonna always end it out with a nice worship song. So listen, as we close out, I want y'all, before everybody start dropping off, I want y'all to take this last 3 minutes, 4 minutes, just vibe on this worship real quick. I'm gonna give y'all something really good that we're gonna worship on. All right, and now let's be vigilant with what God has called us to do. Let's be vigilant in our faith. Faith it. We gotta faith this thing. Make it. When somebody's at the point of they're about to give up, you gotta Tell her, no, don't give up. Faith it. Look again. Go back. What did he say? He said, go back. Look again. What do you see this time? Go back. Don't get up. Whatever you're doing, don't give up. All right, y'all. That's it. Faith it till you make it. We're gonna get those hats, y'all. We're gonna get them. All right, everybody. Listen, I don't know what's going where you at, what you're doing, where you're going to be, what's going to happen.
That you found your way to this video.
What you're doing, but I do want to say to everybody, no matter where you're, no matter what you're doing, always trust in God. Always trust in everything that God is calling you to do. Listen, always give us a little closing remark before you give us a closing prayer.
I want you to know that God is calling you to a season of change. Spring forward, spring into your newness, choose yourself, bet on yourself, deal with your trauma, go sit in therapy, dig it up by the root and fix it. The new you is coming forward. I want you to faith it until you make it. I want you to abuse your faith because faith is a drug. I want you to abuse your faith until you get what's invisible into what is tangible. Now, God, thank you for all that you allow to transpire in our life tonight. Thank you for the teaching. Thank you for the word. Thank you for the platform. Thank you for the people who listen. God, I ask you bless everybody under the sound of my voice, from the crown of their head to the sole of their feet. Fix their issues and their trauma. God, help us to choose ourselves, even if it means making other people upset. God, help us to know when the season is ending so we can begin the new season. As we walk into the spring, do a new thing in our lives. Bring rivers in the desert. And if we walk through fires, don't let it burn us. If we walk through deep waters, don't let it drown us. Now unto him who is able to absolutely anything but fail. May God make you sleepless until you help somebody. May God make you restless until you help yourself. May God irritate you until you have enough sense to worship him. And may God bless you until folks think you did something illegal to get it. In Jesus' name, amen.
Y'all sing it because I really